Texas Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett now saying she would strongly consider a run for U.S. Senate as the state's redistricting battle threatens her House seat. If she were to make it to the Senate floor, this could be a taste of what Americans would see.
She gonna keep saying trans, so that people will feel threatened. And child, listen, I want y'all to tell me whether or not.
Do not call me a child. I am no child.
If you could speak directly to Elon Musk, what would you say?
Off.
It's Ted Cruz. I mean, like, this dude has to be knocked over the head.
Crockett also noting that she and her team were
understanding what ends up having people become criminally impacted really informs so much of what I do legislatively, right? So when people are like, oh, you know, crime is terrible. And yes, it is, right? Like, because when somebody goes out and commits a crime, they don't typically, you know, say, well, I'm a D or I'm an R or I'm an I. It's not like literally like, it's about, well, how do you fix it? How do you make community safer? And I do think that I'm in a unique situation because I was having the conversations with people that were going out and committing crimes. And so I understood what was kind of pushing them there. And so I do want people to know that just because someone has committed a crime, it doesn't make them a criminal. That is completely different. Being a criminal is more so about your mindset. Committing a crime can come for a lot of different reasons.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. So we got to talk about some devastating news for the Democrat Party, featuring Ghetto Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett. And the reason why this news is devastating is because Jasmine Crockett is considering a Senate run in Texas, okay, as her district is being redrawn. She's, I think, technically drawn out of her district now, right? So she's going to have to decide whether or not she's going to want to run in the newly drawn district, in which she may be unfamiliar with the voters. She may have a harder time winning that race. So she's considering running for Senate.
I've heard you talk about the potential of a Senate run. How seriously are you weighing that? Because there are some deadlines looming here.
I am seriously weighing it to the extent that I'm about to spend a lot of money to get data. So I'm a data-driven person. I will tell you that I personally believe that Texas needs to do something different if they want a different result. That's just the bottom line.
How far are you in exploring? Who have you talked to? Have you interviewed potential campaign staff? Like, where are you at?
So yeah, so we've talked to. There's only one person that I can see leading this team. It's somebody that I've known for years, somebody that I trust, and somebody who's very experienced. I will not put him out there.
But you've had that conversation.
Oh, absolutely. We've had multiple conversations, and we just took a meeting face-to-face here a few days ago as I was kind of running down what I'm thinking if numbers kind of show what I think they may show. And obviously, we are weighing who may be the nominee on the Republican side. I mean, I'm going to be flat out with you and tell you that I don't think that there's a Democrat that can take out Cornyn. And I think NRSCC knows that, which is why they are spending so much money in this primary to make sure that he is the nominee. But for me, I would be making a very last minute decision because it's not just about winning the primary. You got to win the general. So by the time we start spending money, I think it's less about people learning, oh, there's a Jasmine Crockett. Who is she? And it's more about like, all right, do we like her enough to go out and knock doors, to make phone calls, to send text messages, to tell our neighbors, to get people riled up?
And I personally am all for it, right? And I'm explaining to you guys why I'm all for it. But one of the reasons why she's considering running is because you have these bombshell polls that are coming out basically showing that Jasmine Crockett is dominating the Democrat primary versus potential opponents, including Colin Allred, who I believe ran before, okay? And then you have James Tallarico, who is a rising star on social media, right? He's one of these guys that Democrats are claiming can, you know, get MAGA voters, right, on board, right? But Jasmine Crockett is essentially destroying both of them right now in primary polls, right? And I think the main reason why is because she has better name recognition than both of those individuals. But also at the same time, this is what leftists want, right? Leftists want far left socialists in Congress, right? This is what they want. So she's winning, okay? And this is why she's strongly considering running for Senate. In fact, she claims she's at third base. So I want to react to this video of her discussing whether or not she is going to run. And yeah, if she does run, this will be an amazing development for Republicans. So without further ado, let's get into it.
Okay. And you also have asked about a Senate run. As relates to the state of Texas, we are waiting on the court to tell us whether or not we will be running on the current lines that I ran on that got me elected for the last 2 terms, or if the new lines that the governor signed into law, if those lines are going to go into effect. If they go into effect, we go from having 3 safe Democratic seats in North Texas down to 2 Democratic seats. One of them is the seat that I currently serve that they moved me out of. And the other one is where I would live, where they moved myself and 200,000 of my constituents. So my district has been split. That's basically what it is. Both of those seats where I live, as well as where I used to serve, per se, they both are the 2 safe Democratic seats. But I just feel like there has to be some repercussions. There has to be some kind of payback for playing games, right? And we know that the numbers are clear, that the vast majority of Texans overwhelmingly disagree with what they did. And unlike California, this did not go to the people. This was something that those Republican politicians who are not listening to their constituents decided to do without ever gauging them and determining whether or not this is something that they, the people, were interested in. So do we have an opportunity to win in Texas? Yes. I know people say every time we have an election, this is going to be the one. And it's been 30 years since there's been a Democrat that's been elected statewide. I can tell you that we consistently get a candidate and we spend probably no less than $100 million on that candidate. And I have nothing bad to say about anyone who has ever run statewide as a Democrat in the state of Texas. I don't. I'm just be honest. I mean, maybe y'all can come up with some names or whatever. But what we do is we take somebody who has a great resume that we think will be great. But the state is 30 million people. So we invest so much money in just getting people to learn that person's name. And the way that I look at elections is first base is I know your name. Second base is I know what you're about. So this is like, I understand your brand. I understand what you're trying to deliver. I understand where you come from. Third base is like, and I agree with who you are. I agree with what you're fighting for, right? So that's like the lock-in, like at third base. And then home is like, yo, whether it's rain, sleet, snow, I'm going to be there because I got to be there. I got to make sure that I cast my votes. Well, we never typically choose a candidate who's already known. So for instance, I personally think that Ghetto would have won in 2018 if Ghetto had been known when he entered the race. When he entered the race, Ghetto worked his butt off to the extent that he was hospitalized multiple times. Ghetto went to all 254 counties in the state of Texas. He literally ran himself ragged. And he came up a little less than 3 points short of beating Ted Cruz. Now, Ted Cruz has a larger personality. Ted Cruz has a really big name ID. And he still came less than 3 points from beating him. And
yeah, but if I recall correctly, Beto lost that race. Then he ran for president. He lost in the Democrat primary. And then he ran for governor and he got blown out by Greg Abbott. So this guy has lost like 3 consecutive times, but yet Jasmine Crockett believes that, well, see, he just needs more name recognition, right? More name recognition, he would have won. Well, if that was true, then he would have beat Greg Abbott, right? He didn't beat Ted Cruz. He didn't beat Greg Abbott. Beto's just bad, right? But again, this is the delusion of people like Jasmine Crockett, okay? And again, this is part of the reason why this is really good that Jasmine Crockett is considering running for Senate. Let's continue.
Name, but they know my brand. Remember, I told you I look at this as like the 4 bases. So we're talking about we've already gotten past first base, which frankly, we typically spend close to $100 million just to get somebody to first base. So we're already there. Even though I only represent 1/38 of the state, to have polling that says, oh, Jasmine's in the lead, when I've never spent a dime, not a penny, running statewide, that means that I'm already at first base. So that means that when we start in a race, if we start in a statewide Senate race, we're not starting at first base because it is going to be a short runway, right? We're not starting at second base. Most people can lay out and say, yo, Jasmine's a fighter. Like, it don't matter who it is, like, but she will always fight for the people. There is no Jasmine is weak. None of that. Like, there's not the questions. There's not the wondering. You are able to see the types of bills that I have filed. You are able to see how it is that I conduct myself when I go into hearings. You are able to understand how I prepare. You are able to see who it is that normally donates to me. You are able to know these things. So we're not starting at first base. We're not starting at second base. But in my opinion, we're starting at third base.
Yeah. And all of these are reasons why it's going to be hard for somebody like Jasmine Crockett to win a general election in Texas, right? That is the point, okay? Jasmine Crockett is basically saying that she has all of these things, all of these reasons, right? That she has a well-known brand. Everybody knows what she's about. And that's why she is considering running or strongly considering running. And those are all the reasons why, ironically, that she's going to lose a general election if she decides to run.
Where people are convinced that I am somebody who will remain true to my word and will actually look out for them and won't leave people behind and won't be funny acting, but instead will do the fight. And so knowing how bad things are and knowing that we need some Hail Marys somewhere, whether they are House races or whether they are some of these Senate races that we are watching like very closely, understanding that the NRSCC, which they are the ones that handle the Republican arm of the senatorial campaigns, they have started spending money in their own primary because they know that Ken Paxton makes them vulnerable. In any general head-to-head polling, when it comes to me and Ken Paxton, I've been down by 1 point. That is within the margin of error. So I am within the margin of error for someone who has been elected statewide as a Republican since like 2009 or something like that. And I've never even run. So for me, when I do the math and when I think about, what it would mean for us to start to raise money, and I look at, can we add to the coalition, right? I am looking at expanding the electorate. The things that made both Donald Trump and Barack Obama completely different from everybody else is that they expanded the electorate. And from an anecdotal standpoint, I consistently talk to people that are like, oh, my mom, or oh, my sister, or oh, my whatever, who does not pay attention to politics, but knows who you are. That is what expansion feels like to me. And that is what would be different or necessary in a Texas race, in my opinion.
Wow. Okay. So I think we get the gist of Jasmine Crockett and her rationale for why she's strongly running for Senate. It, to me, sounds like she's going to run. Now, she's claiming that she expands the electorate and that in general election polling versus Ken Paxton, she's only down by 1 point. Now, I have not seen this poll, right? And I don't think any poll taken at this point would be an accurate poll in regards to how Jasmine Crockett would do in a general election versus Ken Paxton or whoever the Republican candidate might be. I just find it very hard to believe that an anti-white, progressive, far-left lunatic like Jasmine Crockett would only be down by 1 point versus a Republican in Texas. I don't believe it, right? I don't believe it. I do not believe it, okay? I just don't believe it. In fact, I actually found some general election polling that backs up my thesis here, okay? In general election polling, Crockett trailed Republican candidates. Corian led Crockett by 6 percentage points, 50% to 44%, while Attorney General Ken Paxton held a 2-point lead against her, 49% to 47%. Representative Wesley Hunt led Crockett by 5 points, 50% to 45%. The poll surveyed 1,650 respondents from September 19th to October 1st, 2025, and had a margin error of plus or minus 2.41 percentage points. Yeah. So what you have here is Jasmine Crockett, as predicted, right, getting beat, okay, beat pretty badly by Corian and Wesley Hunt. Now, when it comes to Ken Paxton, that one is within the margin of error, right? But again, even if it's Ken Paxton, I just have a hard time believing that people would actually vote for Jasmine Crockett over the Republican. I don't think that's the case. I think that Jasmine Crockett is delusional. She does not expand the electorate. Jasmine Crockett is one of these people that she's very niche. It works in her district because her district is mostly black, okay? It's mostly leftist, mostly Democrat voters who support people like her, okay? I believe her district is out in Dallas. So again, you're talking about inner city, again, very liberal, progressive voting base. That's not Texas, okay? That's not the state of Texas at all. The idea that somebody like Jasmine Crockett could appeal to the whole state of Texas is laughable at best, right? Laughable. And if Texas ends up voting for somebody like Jasmine Crockett, then it ain't Texas, right? Texas has a lot of explaining to do if the people of Texas decide to allow Jasmine Crockett to represent them in the Senate. I just don't see it. I don't see it, okay? Remember, Democrats did not make Jasmine Crockett a leader for a reason, right? They told her behind closed doors that she's selfish, that she's not a team player. And the reason why they're saying this, the reason why they're not trying to make her the face of the Democrat Party is because of the fact that despite her fundraising abilities, she does not have broad appeal. She has very unique appeal to a certain group of lunatics. But to think that a conservative state like Texas would vote for somebody like Jasmine Crockett, again, is laughable, right? It's absolutely laughable. I just don't see it. I just don't see it. I don't see it. So with that being said, if Jasmine Crockett won, the best case scenario would be for her to not run for re-election in her new district, right? And for her to run for Senate and to lose, get blown out in the Senate race. And then she's out of a job, right? She's not in Congress at all, which could very well end up happening. That could very well end up happening if she decides to run for Senate. So that's what I'm saying. Like, this could be good, right? This could be very, very, very good for Jasmine Crockett losing her job. So we're going to see. I'm very fascinated to see some actual real general election polling now that she's essentially given a serious thought into running, right? It seems as if it's more likely than not that she's going to run. You're going to start to see more polling. And my theory about whether or not these far leftists can actually win in these general elections, it's about to be tested. And I think that the Jasmine Crockett running for Senate in Texas race is going to be the ultimate test of whether or not my theory is correct, that these lunatics, these race hustlers, these far left Democrats running in general elections, they're going to get blown out in left-leaning or left of center, conservative and moderate states and districts. So we will see. But let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.